Hello. Today I'm going to take you on a journey into the depths of evil with a recap of the movie The Exorcist Believer. Brace yourselves. This story begins in Haiti, with a happy couple named Victor, who is a photographer, and his wife named Linda, who are expecting a daughter. While on vacation, Linda walks around the city, where some people perform a kind of ritual for the protection of their daughter. Then, both go to a church, where she is very tired and prefers to stay and rest in the hotel. Victor, on the other hand, tells her that he will continue working. Shortly after there is an earthquake, where the hotel starts to fall down and people try to escape. Soon Victor arrives at the place where he tries to find Linda. He finally manages to find her, but under some rubble, where she tells him to take care of her daughter. Later, Victor waits for Linda to recover, but the doctors tell him that she is very ill and that they can't do much to her, as he will lose his daughter, so they tell him that he has to decide between one of the two. 13 years later in Percy, Georgia, we see Victor's daughter Angela, who wanted to meet her mother, but she only sees the things that her father has kept from her. Angela was very happy and feels nostalgic when she sees the pictures of her pregnant mother. Then they leave the house on their way to school. Victor discovers that his daughter was wearing Linda's scarf, so he takes it off so she doesn't lose it. Then they arrive at the school where we see another family. Who is important is the daughter named Catherine, as this is a friend of Angela, while we notice that this asks permission to his father to be late, since he will go with her friends to study, so he gives permission, but only until 8. After leaving school, Catherine and Angela go to the forest, mentioning that they will talk to their loved ones in heaven. On the other hand, Victor spends his time at his job as a photographer. Returning to the friends, they begin their ritual and try to contact Linda, but it doesn't seem to be working. Shortly after, Victor arrives home late and realizes that his daughter still hasn't arrived, so he starts to worry and dials Catherine's house, but it seems that the parents don't know where she is either, so they dial another of her friends who tells them that she heard they were going into the woods. Because of this, the parents go out to look for their daughters in the forest, but it seems that they do not find anyone. At that time, Victor sees the cave where they entered, so he saw several things of his daughter, including shoes. A while passes, the authorities do not find them, as they have searched the whole area, while Victor argues with the other parents, as they both blame each other. The next day, the authorities and other volunteers continue to search in every corner around them, but they seem to be unsuccessful. Meanwhile, Victor is desperate and talks to the homeless people, who tell him incoherent things about his daughter. Soon after, Victor enters his house and hears noises, so he approaches Angela's room, where he sees a group of women, while his neighbor explained that the women are shamans, since he is trying to clean the place so Angela will return. Victor doesn't believe him and runs them all off. The next day, on a farm 50 kilometers from the city, we see some farmers who have a sick horse, so a boy goes to get the things to cure it, but when he gets to the stable, he finds the friends, where Angela tells him that she doesn't know where they are. Later, Victor, upon finding out, goes at full speed to the hospital, where he sees Angela, all disoriented, who believes that she was lost for only a few hours, although he lets her know that 3 days had passed. Because of this, they do a lot of studies to the friends, as they want to rule out anything. Soon after, we notice that both girls are behaving strangely. Later, at home, Angela explains to him that what they did is try to connect with her mother, but since he took off her scarf, she could not connect with her, since she had nothing to bond with, so at the time of the ritual, she traveled to an unknown place. At the same time, we notice that a being from the underworld starts stalking her, but she doesn't tell her father anything. Meanwhile, we see that Catherine is also stalked by something in the dark. The next day, Victor brings breakfast to his daughter, but she seems to have had some trouble and wet the sheets, so he takes her to take a shower, but soon notices that she disappears and the water seems to be very dark. He starts looking around the house for his daughter, who surprises her and knocks him down. He can't stand much though and already ends up on the floor, so he better take her to the hospital. On the other hand, Catherine and her family are at the church, where the pastor is very happy that she is back, shortly after Catherine gets out of control and a red liquid comes out of her. Afterwards, the parents are very worried, while Catherine's mother believes that something in the forest has possessed them, as she claims that Jesus went to the underworld and came back 3 days later, which is the same thing that happened to her daughters. At night, the neighboring nurse is taking care of Angela, while the latter with a terrifying voice tells her that she knows that she lost her son long ago, which was a secret that only she knew. Later she goes to Victor's house, revealing to him everything she experienced with her daughter. She told him her real name and the abortion she had, something the nurse had never revealed to anyone. Victor, upon hearing, coldly responds that he doesn't think it's real, and doesn't believe in spirits. But she talks some sense into him by revealing that there are forces beyond our control by mentioning other possessions. When Victor comes to his senses, he begins to search for information about spirits. And he finds a woman who wrote a whole book about spirits. And she is Chris, the main character in the original Exorcist movie. She wrote many blogs and a very successful book. So Victor searches for more information about her and then heads to her house. Upon arrival, Victor asks him what happened to his daughter Regan, who had been possessed. Here Chris reveals to him what was not seen in the first movie, and that is that his daughter Regan, after being freed from the demon, was cured, but after the publication of his book did not want to return to his mother ever again. She did not like him to publish her private information. So she left and was never heard from again. Chris decides to help him, so they go to the hospital, where he realizes that Angela seems to have the same demonic being that Regan had, since the evil one recognizes her. They then go to find Catherine, where they realize that the house is all messed up. So Victor tries to help the family, while Chris meets Catherine, who is totally possessed, and tells her that Regan is already in the underworld. However, Chris doesn't believe her, and begins to do his job for which he prepared for years, so he soon begins to free the girl. It seems that he succeeds, but the evil one will not let him so easy, so soon Catherine took a cross and leaves her unable to see. At that moment Victor arrives, who manages to get Chris out of that place. On the other hand, Father Maddox tries to get permission and support from his superiors, so he can do the exorcism. Then, Chris tells Victor, that in all the beliefs he studied he realized that they all agree on the same thing when it comes to exorcisms, so the more help he has, the better. Because of this, Victor goes and convinces the shaman to help them. So, she accepts. Shortly after, the shaman prepares a ritual, where they plan to perform the exorcism and free the girls, so they leave some chairs for them. However, at this point Father Maddox arrives, who tells the nurse that he was not given permission by his superiors, as it is too dangerous for everyone. Victor tells her that they will do it with or without him, though. Therefore, Father Maddox only leaves them his Bible. Because of this, everyone is worried. The nurse tells them that she is capable of doing it. The ritual begins with the nurse saying a prayer of expulsion of spirits. The girls begin to writhe in pain. However, when the prayer ends, the demon spits in the nurse's face. At first the exorcism does not work, but the woman shaman performs a more advanced ritual, using pure water to hurt the demons, then spits something into the fire so that steam comes out, which joins with the smoke emitted from the girls' bodies to be extinguished in the bonfire. When Victor goes out to throw the water away, he sees Father Maddox praying in his car. Because he did not go to the exorcism out of fear, Victor tells him that the fight is inside, not outside. Back home, the demon confronts Victor, reminding him that on the day of the earthquake, on the death of his wife, he chose to save her and lose the child, because his wife died and he had to carry that decision all his life. Victor falls into the devil's game and is emotionally destabilized by his words. At that moment, Father Maddox enters with all the Catholic faith, ready to confront the demon. He has so much power that he makes the evil spirit writhe in pain. However, Father Maddox suffers an unexpected response, for the demon is stronger and soon breaks his neck in front of everyone, who are perplexed by this act. At that moment, Catherine's father cries out, choosing his daughter to be saved, but the exorcism continues. At that moment, we would see Angela levitate. And from one moment to the next, the ceiling cracks and a portal opens. We see how Angela expels the demon from her mouth. When she falls to the ground, Victor helps her, and little by little Angela recovers. But of course, Catherine's pulse goes out and she inevitably loses her life. In the dream world we would see how she, representing hell, is chosen by the demon Pazuzu, who tells her I choose you, and takes her away, submerging her in the water. And on the real plane, Catherine dies. Here it is revealed to us that in reality the ritual that was done to Angela's mother when she was pregnant did work, and that is why she was protected. In addition, the demon toyed with the girl's parents, making them choose one, but inevitably only one could die. Catherine's parents did everything they could to save their daughter, but it was too late. And she is no more. We would also see Angela return to her normal life. And to finish, Chris, as she was blind, one day received an unexpected visit. She thought it was Victor in the form of thanks, but no, in reality, we discover that it is Regan, her daughter, who has returned. Thus ends with the reunion of the two protagonists of The Exorcist, the first film of more than 50 years ago. Thus ends Exorcist Believer. Without further ado, make sure you are subscribed to continue receiving summaries of new movies. That's all from me.